All right, Mena fans, welcome back to Minifandom. I'm Menas, of course. I've got a special guest today. I'm not sure what level I'm on and if this is going down for him or it's going up. He can tell me, but he is a great Mena fan. So Chris Klemmer, I was going to call you Quantum Week Chris, but Chris Klemmer, welcome. How are you?
Good, thanks. I'm happy to be here. It does bring me down a level, but that's fine. We'll still have a good time.
Good. I knew you'd be a condescending fuck at some stage.
Get right out of the shoot, you know?
Exactly. What a day for you. You know, you've had the pleasure of recording two shows with two fantastic broadcasters. You start the day with Kirk Minihan, my idol, and then you're finishing the day with a lesser quality Minihan ripoff.
Yes, but also your idol, Menners. So it's good. It's good to get the best of both worlds.
Exactly. So look, I've got a lot to talk about with you. You're on a number of podcasts that I love: NH Cast, Kirk Minihan Show. You're also on Quantum Week. So I want to ask about all of those. Basically, I'm doing this to get to Ethan. So.
Okay.
Sure. I'm trying to buddy you up to get to Ethan, your co-host from NH Cast. So I'm playing the long game here, but we wrap up every show. We wrapped up Monday and Tuesday's show. Obviously, you go in today, final show of the year. What was the feeling like in studio? Was everyone had that sort of last day of school vibe?
It was more typical episode than I thought it was going to be. I didn't know if it was going to be a little like that. Like, oh, it's like a holiday show or kind of like you're right, that senioritis attitude. I would say no. It felt like a pretty typical show, I would say.
Good. And
how did it hear? Like, what did you think listening to it?
Yeah, it was a fun show. I think the shows have been all good this week. It started off, I think they were sort of talking about the fact that you got completely destroyed by Justin last week and you had to take the L. It doesn't seem that bad to me. Like, I think Justin can be triggering. Like, I think you're in the wrong, but he can be an annoying little fuck. So I don't sort of see the problem with, talking down to him sometimes.
Just the way the way I handle right from, like I said on the show, right from Jump Street, it was just kind of shitty. Like, if someone offers you help or gives you a gift, whatever, you should always be kind to be respectful about that. That's a pretty easy rule to live by, and I definitely fucked up there, and I actually do genuinely feel bad about that.
What about Cull piling on, though? That's what I noticed. Dave Cullinane really enjoyed to see you struggle, to see you squirm, to see you lose. That Quantum Week Chris or Chris Klemmer v DC or Dave Cullinane rivalry, it's just under the surface. You don't have to scratch far, and he loves seeing you and as well Carano fail.
I don't know. I think he definitely loves having some audio to play at my expense, but that's fine. I mean, like, I'll shit on him though. So that's kind of the fun with Cullinane. It's a lot of fun, that give and take, because we both can kind of shit on each other, and it never feels personal. I don't know how it would be. I've never done a show with Steve, so I don't know like what that would be like. But with Dave, it's fun. Like I said, we can kind of play back and forth, and I don't know, and like no tears are shed, but I think it makes for a fun, hopefully makes for a fun show.
Yeah, no, it's been great. I was always saying you should be given more chances on the main show. And I think for most of this year, you've been going in there and it's been wonderful. I think you've excelled. You haven't disappointed. You're never going to please everybody. But generally, you always do a good job. You're always prepared. You've always got energy. And that's all you need. Kirk can carry the show. It's his fucking show. It doesn't need you to be the star. But you go in there with a great attitude, and I've loved it. I've given you a huge rap for this year.
No, thank you. No, you're absolutely right. It's the Kirk Minihan show. If you go in there expecting to be the star of the show, like, that's not the idea. Like, I would do
that. I would do that.
Right, of course. Yeah. So a talent, like Menners, you can't hold that back. No, but like like I have Quantum Week, or I have, I'll have at a theater or whatever, and I can kind of do what I want to do more, on those shows. But with Kirk, it's so cool to even be in the studio, and it's just fun to kind of play off of him. And he's so good, and he's so fast, and he's so quick, and his memory is amazing, and it's almost like a fun mental exercise every week. I genuinely enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the second time I've said genuinely already in the first 5 minutes. So make that a drinking game.
Yes. Well, for those listening, we're recording this at 7 p.m. Boston time. I didn't want to do it any later than that because I know that's when the booze really kicks in with Chris and he could get a bit nasty. And
that's right. I'll call you a horrible name or something.
Exactly. That's when nasty Chris comes out. Yeah. What did you think of the whole sort of Wilbur thing and moving it? Where do you stand? Have they done the right thing?
I mean, yeah, look. I feel bad for anyone though that like made flight arrangements or whatever, or made travel arrangements. But I would say though, I think most people, I was shocked how understanding people seem to be. I thought when they announced that it was going to be like a hellish rebuttal from people being like, "Are you kidding me? You're changing it again." But people seem to get it. I know, so there are a couple of things here or there, but it seemed pretty mild. Like I said on air though, Kirk has a much better likelihood of getting COVID in January than he does in June or July, whenever it's going to be. And what if there's a blizzard? Like, if you had those same flight arrangements as a blizzard, you're not getting up here either. So, I mean, if the Wilbur I was shocked. I didn't think the Wilbur would be amenable to this. I thought they would be like, fuck no, we're not going to go dark Saturday, 5 weeks from now, zero chance. Because their January is pretty out of their schedule. It's pretty booked up. But if they're willing to make the change, like, why not?
Yeah, I think it's better for me because it means I'm more chance of going. I'm waiting until they lock in all the dates for next year, and then I'm planning my trip to the northeast of the United States. I'm looking forward to hanging out with you and Laura and Ethan. But obviously it's good for me. I can see why a lot of people are disappointed. It's hard for me because we just live with vaccine mandates here, so we're different. You basically have needed to show a vaccine passport to get in most places the last month. So it doesn't seem like that's wild to me, but I guess there's so many lunatic Minifans that wear tinfoil hats to bed and stuff that I guess Kirk's got to look after them.
I don't know. I mean, look, I'm vaccinated. I'm getting boosted on Monday. I get my booster shot then. So, I mean, I get it, but on the same token, it's like, all right. I mean, I definitely think the media and social media is overplaying the effects of this for most people. Yes, some people are at risk, but this sounds like this Omicron thing will only give you like a runny nose. For most people, so it's like, all right, are we making too much of this? It seems like we are. Like at some point, it's like Kirk was saying today, like enough's enough. Like let's go. Like let's get on with our lives. And stop holding ourselves back.
And you're so rich, it doesn't matter to you anyway. You've got enough money. You don't need to go to work. You can just live off the millions that you earned in your 30s. Nope.
Missing a couple decimal points there, but no. Yes, I said I'm a thousandaire.
What do you think of the show year? Do you think it's been a good year for the show? Obviously, Steve left and Cullinane took over. There's been, what do you think of the year as a whole?
I mean, I got to take myself out of it because it's hard to kind of judge yourself against anything else. But I think this year has been better than last year. I think that Mike is so good this year. I think last year he was struggling with some stuff, obviously, and it definitely affected his performance in the show. Like I think the summer of last year, like it was not best Mike. But since he's been back, and he came back November of last year. He just gets better every month. And I think it's the reps he gets on Blind Mike Project maybe, or the confidence he gets off that or what it is. But he is so good. Like he is so funny. Like he's something like when I listen to him, I'm like, oh, I wish I had, I kind of try to, I measure myself up to him when I go in. I'm like, oh, I want to try to be as funny as Mike or as quick on that as Mike is. And have kind of that. Mike has a really good like affability lately, which is so funny because he did not have that in 2020. So he's improved so much.
Kirk and he can riff really well together. They've got a really good instinct now. They do sort of go to the same place together. And you don't realize it until you sort of hear Kirk with other people.
Yeah, the timing is so good with them. They just, I mean, they've done it a long time together. They've been doing this now over 2.5 years now, right? So
and plenty of hours as well. You think how many hours?
All the 5 day a week. Think about all the episodes Mike's been in. I think I brought it up in one of the or maybe that was just producers, but he's been, obviously hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. And I think that as much as I love Steve, like it's fun to have Cullinane in there. Like, I think just to have a different voice in there has been kind of unique. I think that whole process of like getting the new producer. So you had kind of that Carano month. I think just the idea of being able to mix it up with different producers and settling on Cullinane and watching like the 29K thing. And I don't know. I think this year of KMS has been better than 2020 personally, but.
Yeah, I'd probably agree, especially because we got rid of Steve. Do you think when Jared Carabas comes back, say next year, that Kirk will bench you on Fridays, or
I have no idea.
Any idea?
I have no clue. I take every episode as my last to some extent. I mean, I'm like I said on his show before, I'm the biggest nobody's ever worked with. So if he wants to bench me for a little while, forever, like I just say thanks for the opportunity kind of thing and move on. Obviously, I love going in. I hope to keep going in. But I mean, if Jared Carabas is like he's a legit personality. So like I can't even.
Oh, he's like a few levels above you.
A few levels, yes.
Yeah. Yes. I'm trying. Someone who was it yesterday? Augustus had his levels. He actually laid out what his levels are.
Yes.
It's good that he's thought about it.
It was great to hear him speak. It's rare, It was nice to actually hear words come out. I never knew his voice before.
No, he's a nice guy. I enjoyed the calls today. John Amos called in. It was a few good calls today. I just thought,
really good calls today.
I like this last sort of few episodes, last week and this week. I don't think there've been any, apart from the whole sneakers controversy, there've been no peaks. It's just been, Kirk's been relatively stable. Everybody's been in a good mood. It's just been nice, comforting Kirk KMS content.
I mean, yeah, but I also say that even before he took his break, I thought Kirk shows you how much I know. I mean, I was in the room with him. I thought it seemed stable then too, though. So I mean, I don't know how that, I don't know how all that works, but I thought it was actually a pretty good run, like comfortable run for the month leading up to when he took his leave. So I mean, who knows? But I think he hasn't missed a step since he's been back. I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of stable on the show. I mean, terrific stuff. And then, break now till the new year, so you get a bit of a break. You can focus on your new show. I'm curious though. You've got an old show, Quantum Week. I get so many questions about how much longer do I think Quantum Week will go on for? Will it last till the end of 2022? And I'm curious, what do you think? Because there is a lot of crossover with your new show and Quantum Week. It's like if I went and started a rival cricket podcast of my own with somebody else, and my current host got pissed off.
I don't know. I don't think it's that. I mean, I think it's, I like movies a lot. I could talk about, Quantum Week, we could talk about older movies. This is newer movies. I mean, I guess there's some crossover there, but I mean, this is going to be a much shorter show. This will come out, like I said, every other day, be a quick half hour, hopefully for someone. Ideally, it comes out in the morning, so it's like for someone's morning commute kind of thing. I don't think it's a similar show to Quantum Week, but I also haven't done an episode yet, so I guess we'll see. But Matt and I are in a pretty good place right now. He definitely annoyed the shit out of me when he had that tweet, tweet at Kirk, or not Kirk, rather, tweet at Cullinane. That was definitely annoying. Matt on social media can annoy me for sure, but I think that's the thing is like people who get mad at Matt, like Matt one-on-one is like a really great guy. Like when you come here and get to talk to him, it's like, oh, this guy is like a really good person. But then like when he's in, like I said, when he's on social media, that sometimes I think maybe that's not his strong suit. But that's my opinion, whatever that's worth. But Matt and I are getting along pretty well right now.
I'm a Carano guy. What about though this current strain between Kirk and Carano? I mean, is it affecting you and Carano? Do you think Carano listens to the main show anymore?
I think he does. We don't talk about KMS a super ton. I think Kirk had a right to be upset about it. I definitely think like the timing of Carano's tweet was awful, and like I don't know exactly like what he was trying to do there. Like the thing is like Dave and I. We'll bust each other's balls on air. Like Dave will pull sound maybe or whatever. But like the cool thing about doing it on air is that we both have a chance to address it. So like Dave will play the clip, like the Justin clip today. And like, all right, well, yeah, like I can now defend myself against it. But when you're doing it on like Twitter like that or having social media spats, and they've both done it, both Cullen and Carano have done it with each other. I feel like it's not, you don't get that same like chance to answer for yourself. I feel it's a little like sneaky, like dirty play a little bit. And it just never feels like that with Cullen in the studio. So, I mean, those two guys just could not be more different. They are just complete opposites. So I don't know if they'd ever get along. Like if they were closer in personality, I might try to like broker peace, or I might be like, hey, maybe you guys should talk, or let's all grab lunch or something. Like, But those guys just couldn't be more different, so I don't even bother. Like, let them hate each other, I guess, or whatever they do. I don't
know. Yeah, and Cullinane's not a really vicious guy. I mean,
neither is Carano, though. That's what
I'm saying. So I don't think that. I think they there's a rivalry. They annoy each other, but I think generally, it's not like Steve, who had sort of real layers of hate in that body of his. I think Cullinane's layers aren't the same. One thing I did notice on the main show today was I've been saying for a couple of weeks that no one's acknowledging Tim and Canton's great work, and finally Kirk listened to me. So I want a writing credit for that, please, on KMS script writing amenas, because that was long overdue. Because I don't know if you've heard the work Tim's been doing. They are great listens. They're great listens.
I was actually going to bring it up last week, and I got sidetracked with the Justin stuff, and then it was actually in my notes to bring up today. But Kirk, obviously, right out of the chute.
He got my note. He got my note. He got my note.
Oh, good. I'm sure he was delighted to get it, Manners.
Yes. And then Kirk made a comment again, reacting to Minifandom, the best wrap-up show in the network or in the business, because there is no network. He said that, Cullinane's letting the YouTube network die. And I mean, you've been an avid fan of Menace to Midnight, Menace Live, Menace in the Morning, the Aussie Minifan show. You've watched everything on the network. Can you see my frustration that I really thought when Cullinane took over, he would do something? It's never going to go back to what it was at the beginning, but I thought we would get something. We've actually got less now. Like when Steve was in charge, Justin was doing a wrap-up show 3 times a week. You were doing one of the days. Andrew Augustus from yesterday was doing one. Tim was doing one. We actually had more fan content with Steve than with Cullinane, which I just find spellbinding. It's just too much, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's I know you have been a big advocate on trying to do stuff on the network, but I think between, Justin not being there, and then on top of it, doesn't seem like the fans are doing as much. And maybe the show, I don't know if it was, you have a great wrap-up show. I listen all the time, and I also love Kirkenoff. I forget which show it was. No, it's not. It's a good show. But one of the shows, I love it. One of the shows was saying that the show seems to, I don't know, I think the show is always evolving, and it doesn't seem to be as YouTube, like if you had a YouTube now, it would be as YouTube heavy. I almost felt like even at the end of the YouTube run, it was less presence on KMS. I'm not saying that people shouldn't do stuff.
Yeah, that's fine. They should pick what's interesting. Like, just because it's on YouTube doesn't mean they should talk about it on the main show. 100% get that. But stop making excuses for Cullinane. That's pathetic. He's been in the role now for 6 months. Like, okay, you got to give someone time to find their feet and put their systems in place. But enough's enough.
But in the end now, he's just.
But I think it is. Kirk said it. He said today, Cullinane, you're letting the network die. Do you think Kirk's going to reach out to me or any of these shitheads and go, can you do a show on the network? It's Cullinane's job to find some idiot to produce them some intern and get something happening. There should be at least 1 or 2 shows a week on the network that are worth watching.
I would love to see that. I'd watch them. But I don't. Other than you, though, I haven't seen personally a big push by other fans to have stuff on the network. I haven't seen it. I feel like
Cullinane turned his back on the Minifans because I've sent him messages about shows and he just doesn't reply. And I don't know what level he thinks he's on, but I think Cullinane thinks he's jumped about 50 levels since he got the
Why
job.
didn't you give him this shit when you had him on like a month ago? You should have been busting his balls about it. You giving me?
It was like 2 or 3 months ago, and it was just when it started. I did raise all these points, and it was early on, and a bit like you, I was thinking you got to give the guy time. And one thing I don't want to happen is, Chris, obviously my relationship with Steve had some issues, and I don't want to be in bad relationships with the producers of my favorite show. I mean, I like Cullinane. I criticize him because he leaves himself way open to it, but generally I want the best for him. I want to see him succeed. I don't want him to get some rare disease like I want Steve to get. So so that's why.
I think we both agree on one thing, is that I don't know if Cullinane's focus remember, he's also doing the case, he's doing KMS. I think one thing that maybe they should do, or maybe what Cullinane should focus on, ideally, or not focus on, but hopefully do, is bring in an intern. especially like Harrison is also like helping with the case, and he does all the graphic stuff. Like, have an intern to kind of also to create content, but B also to help with the KMS stuff. I know he was looking. He was looking at one time. I don't know if he still is. We talked about it. I don't know. Say 2 months ago, 3 months ago, whatever. Cullen and I were like, "Oh, like how's that search going?" And but I don't know if he's been proactive on that. But that would be great because I think if you had an intern that could kind of shepherd the network, I think you need that. But to expect it from Cullen, I don't think that's super realistic, honestly.
No, I don't expect him to do too much. But organizing one show a week's not a lot, and it'll feed the main show. And yeah, but I think an intern's a good idea. You know, I think a female intern would be good. It's a bit of a sausage fest at the moment. So yeah, I'd have a female, maybe an African American or Hispanic, something to just promote diversity within the KMS universe. I think they're all things Cullinane could do.
Well, it's very progressive of you, Manners.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Very woke. So when you and Carano had your what I thought was a fake beef about you not
fake.
Taking Carano's music segment seriously. It worked because I subscribed to your Patreon to hear the fighting. So the tactic worked. I fell for it hook, line, and sinker.
Wasn't a tactic, but thank you.
But okay, so at the time I thought it was a tactic, but since I've listened to all of New Hampshire Cast, I do actually see the difference now between the way you work with Matt and the way you work with Ethan, and the fact that like you do like to bust balls, and you and Carano are slightly different in that sense. And I thought that was just bullshit and Carano was being sensitive, but I actually do think there is something to it. That's just where you two kind of differ, is that you like to sort of give shit to people and laugh at people and make fun of people on lower levels. But Carano can't really take it like someone like Ethan could, for example.
The difference too is like Carano's definitely a friend of mine, but it's like it's so funny people like who don't know New Hampshire Cast or don't know me at all, which is fine. And they're like, oh, Carano's your best friend. It's like, well, he's not. I have best friends, and one of them is Ethan. Like, I love Ethan. Like Ethan is like.
So do I.
Yeah, he's one of my like favorite people in the world. So like,
same.
I don't blame you. But like, I've known Ethan for over 30 years now. Like, Ethan and I will be friends forever. Like, it's hard. With Carano, it's I don't say a business partnership. It definitely is more of a, at times I'm sure I annoy him, and at times he annoys me just because we're just on different wavelengths. But with Ethan, no, that's like with Ethan too. It's a whole different relationship where I can just kind of say anything around him, and he can say anything around me, and like we're still gonna love each other. Like, it doesn't matter. With Carano, I'm sure there's things I could say to him where he would be like, all right, fuck you, go away forever, and he might be right to say that.
When you met Matt, did you think he was gay?
No, I didn't actually. No, I met Matt. Can
you stop your computer making that noise? Is that your computer or mine?
I don't think it's mine.
Okay. All right, it's fine.
I don't hear any noise though.
Oh, that's good. That's good then. Go on.
Yeah, when I met Matt, no, I did not. When I met Matt, I met his wife. Although I don't know if they were married yet at the time. Well, maybe they were. I don't know. But I met him and his wife at the same time. Yeah. So yeah. I know. I never once thought he was. No, I didn't. I guess.
And how was the live show? I'm super jealous. I've been trying to get one off the ground for my cricket podcast for the last couple of years, but every time we want to do it, there's a COVID outbreak in Sydney, and they put a ton of restrictions on. So how did it go? What was the feeling when you came off stage and the audience was semi-awake?
I know. I think it went really well. People there like the show. I mean, Quantum Week isn't for everybody. I'm sure. If you don't like movies or music, it's not for you. I get that. It's fine. But
so look, it's not for me, and that's not true with you or Matt. I like both of you, but I'm not really interested in movies and music in the same way. But I must admit, when I see like one of my favorite movies come up, I will listen to the movie bit of the podcast, not the music bit, and I always enjoy it. But as I said, it's just not something I would listen to, even though I have to pay for it.
That's good. It's good. No, it's not for everybody, but people that were there though do like that, so they did enjoy it. I think they did enjoy the show. I had a great time. I know Matt had a great time. It was wild. For Kirk to show up is insane. above and beyond. To have your favorite podcaster watch your live show was a trip. I know Cullinane came too, and Justin came. I have to give him credit too. It was nice of him to make the trip. And Harrison and everyone that came. I had a great time. We definitely want to do it again next year. Probably around the same time of year.
What do you think about my idea of like a festival week for Miniverse content? So, there's a live show Kirk's doing on, say, Saturday. So Quantum Week does a live show on Thursday. Mena's Live does Friday. KMS Saturday. Would you be up for doing something like that? Like like a party week for Mina fans?
It's tough. Like, probably. I mean, right now, if you said, I'd have to say no because Kirk doesn't want anything to do with Corano, so it would be no.
Yeah, but this is next summer. By then, Kirk will have forgotten about it. He'll be like, he'll ask, well, why don't I like Corano again? And then he'll just ask him in.
I don't, so like that's why. But as far as like if you were like, hey, let's do that with Out of Theater and the same situation is going on, right? Like if we any live show, the one in Magnolia, like I'll gladly have people come check out an Out of Theater, and if you weren't there, you can come. I'd have you be a guest in the show.
Great.
Of course. Are you going to come to Magnolia? Are you going to go to make that trip in April?
Well, it's actually not that far. As I said yesterday, you can fly straight from Sydney to Dallas, and then it's just a short flight to New Orleans. Yep. So I've actually been to New Orleans before. So I'd like to do it. As I said, I'm just waiting until they sort of lock in all the dates. There's a podcast festival next year in August I'd like to go to in the States. So I'm just going to see where the dates land and then try and match it all up.
If you get to Houston as opposed to Dallas, I don't know if that's the thing, but Houston's closer to where we're going to be than Dallas.
Oh, yeah, you can fly to Houston, I think. Yeah. I think I've been to Houston as well, shithole.
It's not great. I don't know why Mike likes it so much. I thought it was horrible. I hated Houston, but...
I once did a trip where I sort of followed. Well, I didn't follow the Red Sox, but it worked out. I flew into LA and I saw the Red Sox play the Angels. Then I flew from Anaheim to Houston, met a friend there. We watched the Red Sox play the Astros, and then flew back to Boston, and then saw some more baseball there. It's pretty good.
Fun.
Yeah,
out of my LA, that's great.
So what else?
I feel like I'm getting low key manners today. Very low key.
I mean, it's Thursday morning. It's like pissing down here. It's like bucketing down with rain. I'm feeling energetic. It's not your company. But these wrap up shows are, they're relaxing. So I've just been. This has kind of been like foreplay the last half an hour.
Oh, I
just
see.
kind of like taking off the
my
neck.
balls.
Tickling your balls, trying to get the bra undone, all that kind of stuff. Right. But let's talk about my favorite podcast of 2021. Now, did you hear me shout out the New Hampshire Cast when I was interviewed?
I did on that on the Australian show. I did. That was very great. It was very exciting.
Yep. Behind the podcast, I went on and I shouted out you and why are you laughing? Yeah. I loved the NH Cast, and what I loved about it was, you and Ethan have a great dynamic. I love the way you two interact, and I think you work really well because Ethan's very sensible, very grounded. He's the sort of person I want to call when I have a real life problem. So hopefully I'll get his phone number off you eventually. Like, if I'm having a dilemma in my life, I want to call Ethan and work through it with him. And then you two balance really well together because, you're like that as well, but you're also funny and you're breaking balls. And the two of you, it was just a very fun show to listen to, and about the most inane topics like Pittsfield or, these little towns in New Hampshire I've never heard of. But I would find myself going on and Googling these towns to get like street views. Like I was looking at the Lilac Mall recently, and I was wondering, what the status is of the shops there. And I was trying to look on Google Maps. So, it's left a huge impression on me. And, I listened to it in one block, but, obviously towards the end, there was like, you did a big run and then there was like a big gap and then you did a couple and then COVID came. But, what's the future of the New Hampshire Cast and why didn't it take off? Why aren't there live shows of you and Ethan? Why aren't you two hosting a radio station in New Hampshire, a radio show? I mean, you two, the kings of NH.
Yeah, no one
the great state.
No one ever gave us an offer. We would have taken it. No, it's tough with work and kids and marriage and everything else. we've definitely been talking more and more about doing episodes next year. So I think that's definitely going to happen. And yeah, COVID kind of fucked everything up. We had a whole plan. We're going to go to this place. Man, you like this? We're going to go to this place called Water Country. It's a water park in Portsmouth. It is this bizarre place. And that was going to be like one episode was going to be there. And we had a bunch of ideas written out. And COVID fucked everything up. But yeah, I definitely think this summer you could see, or spring even. We can talk about maybe doing something even before that. You might see an episode pop up. It might not be. It won't be every week again, but maybe every month or every few weeks you might see something pop up for sure.
My dream is to do like a dinner and a movie with you, or a town visit, or something like that. Yeah, that's my ambition.
Yeah, well, I said you come up
more so than getting in studio with Kirk. Like if the choice was going to studio with Ethan or going to studio with Kirk, I'd be like Ethan, like all the way.
That's a sad priority. Even Ethan would admit that, I think. But no, but when you come up, we'll take you to that steakhouse in Manchester, Hanover Street, and we'll have a great time for sure. No, Ethan said he's very excited to have dinner with you. So. And
so genuinely, I did really find it interesting as an Australian who's never lived in the States. Like some of the stuff you just talked about with life, like owning a car and buying a property and commuting. And I know like they may sound inane and boring, but for me, as someone that, doesn't live in the States, like snow days, for example, I've never had a snow day in Sydney ever in my whole life. So I just lapped up all that shit.
Well, thank you. No, it was a fun show to do, and like I said, it was just fun to hang out with Ethan like once a week or whatever. Whenever we did it, we just genuinely enjoy each other's company. Genuinely, I said it again. I'm gonna have a drink. We just really enjoy each other's company.
And I did not. There was a bit of controversy about what is it? Newick's Lobster House? Is that the one?
Yes. Yeah.
A lot of controversy
because
obviously, I've been pushing NH Cast, so a lot of Minihan fans now have gone and listened to some episodes. Fans of this show, and yeah, some people are really surprised at how you poorly rated Newick's Lobster House, and I sort of get the vibe where you're coming from, but there just seems to be the overwhelming feeling that you cannot review a seafood restaurant if everybody doesn't eat seafood.
Well, that's why we brought Laura on, because she does.
Yeah, but
I was.
You should have gone to a steakhouse.
Well, we did that. That's a hard thing. So like I would have, if you had clients or you have families from out of town, the first thing when they come to New Hampshire or come to Maine or whatever, they want to have lobster. So where do you bring them? And Newick's, I brought a client there. He wasn't super impressed. So I brought him to Warren's, and they had a much better time. So my recommendation is, if you're not from this area, you come up here, I would recommend Warren's. It's very low key. It's very casual. They have a giant salad bar. So it's not fancy by any means, but they have, I've been told, the best lobster around.
Yeah, I love lobster rolls. Whenever I'm in Boston, I smash the fuck out of those things. And I did go to the tackiest lobster place, the one near the Children's Museum in Boston. I can't remember it. It's like the tackiest touristy lobster house.
I don't know.
But yeah, love a good lobster roll. So yeah, controversy about that. I did find the Brian Kelly episode pretty bad from the Repository Theatre. That was the only episode I couldn't finish. I don't know why.
Oh, wow. He's a nice guy. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, the episodes, that was one thing that was kind of hard for this show, or maybe hard for listeners, was the episodes varied so wildly. Like, yeah, it's all in New Hampshire, but some days we're talking about my car. Some days we're talking, with a theater owner. Some days we're talking, so it kind of goes all over the place. So I can see how some episodes aren't for everybody.
That was the only one I didn't finish. I really enjoyed it when commuter Laura came on, your now wife.
Yes.
That was so exciting because I listened to it so much later. I knew what was going to happen. I knew you were going to end up in her pants eventually. So it was like a thriller. I was just waiting for it all to kick off. And then, a few episodes later, you're getting married, and it was just beautiful to see that sort of romance unfold in a very subtle way on the show. And we both, VD and I, commented on your aghast that she wasn't getting hammered on the Amtrak train back to New Hampshire.
Right. No, she still drinks significantly less than I do. So that's probably a good thing for everybody as I take a sip.
Yeah. I think the New Hampshire Cast probably sealed the deal with her. Like, Do you think
I
that
don't
was
know.
the thing?
We weren't even dating the first time she came on, so so maybe it helped. I don't know. It didn't hurt. We got married, so yeah, I'm very happy. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And you know, I always doubted your improv credentials. I always was like, this guy has never done any improv.
Sure.
Now I'm starting to believe it. Like listening
okay,
to
good.
New Hampshire Cast, I can see the you know, the bare bones of your improv talent there.
All right.
Yeah, because I just think you and Ethan are a great couple. I think
Yeah.
it's a shame you and Ethan don't host Quantum Week. That's the real tragedy here.
Well, in fairness to in fairness to Chrono, Ethan doesn't really know or enjoy movies a ton. He doesn't know much about music. Like he knows like very casual music interests. So he enjoys the show. He listens to the show, says he enjoys it. But he would never he couldn't host the show. Like if I went at him about movie takes or music takes, it wouldn't really be a fair fight. Where you got to give Chrono. I mean, I know some people don't love the music segment, but very few people could talk about music the way Chrono does. So if you enjoy that element, if that's something that someone enjoys, and it is, I think it makes for an interesting show. But if someone doesn't like that kind of stuff, then it's not for them.
Yeah. With New Hampshire Cast, did you get a lot of listeners?
Yeah, we had a few. The biggest listened episode we had was the Pittsfield one. I think we had over 1,000 for that, which isn't bad for a little show.
It's not too bad at all.
And the reason that one spiked so high was because it was on the their Facebook Town page.
Yeah.
So we definitely got a bump from that. We saw a few other bumps. They kept going up, so it kept going the right direction. So it started off where we'd have you get 100 and change for our first couple episodes. I'm like, all right, well that's something. And then it ended up going. We hit in the high hundreds to almost 1,000 episodes moving forward after that. So we felt pretty good about that. But it was never enough to
monetize.
Quantum Week does quite a bit better.
How much better?
Better. I always say for Quantum
5
Week,
times, 10 times.
Yeah, for Quantum Week to be our job, we'd have to have 10,000 downloads an episode, and we're
that's
not.
Right. That's exactly what I say for a podcast to be a moneymaker. 10K is where you.
We make money now.
No, but I mean like a serious income.
Right, for it to be your job,
do it full time. Yeah,
it would have to be 10,000. We're not anywhere close to that. So, yeah, we got a ways to go. If that's what we want to do, with at a theater just being me. 10,000. Probably wouldn't need 10,000. I could probably get by with less, but we're not even at where that would be sustainable even with Quantum Week. So I doubt I don't know. Maybe we'll see what happens. I don't know. Hopefully trying to line up some sponsors for At a Theater and see how that goes.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully. I mean, there is a real issue with podcasts and discovery and building audiences now because there are just so many shows.
So many.
And you go into any category and there's, there's like 2-3 million podcasts. So, Amazon fucking loses. The big pitch now is there's 10 million free podcast episodes on Amazon. So yeah, it is hard getting discovered. So At a Theater Near Me, let me take you through my internal journey with your new show.
You hated it.
So I was, hate's a strong word. Hate's a strong word.
Right.
I'm just a very caring person. I care about my friends. So I didn't want to see you waste your time. So I didn't think the idea was a great idea.
No faith in me at all. None.
No, it's not about faith in you. Okay. It's about the concept. And as you know, I spent a lot of time thinking about podcast concepts. So I was thinking a lot about this. And then I spoke to a producer I work with, and she said, actually, I think it's a good idea. So I was like, wow, interesting. I don't know if she'd listen to it, but she thinks it's a good idea. So when you're starting a podcast, you've always got to think about who is your listener. So I want to know, apart from Minifans who are going to listen to it just to hopefully see you fuck up, who is your listener?
Someone like me, someone who enjoys movies and enjoys the idea of looking at the box office charts every week, kind of the idea of the logistics, kind of like someone who would like to kind of put together a puzzle, and the strategy element. Everyone's kind of hung up on the fact that I'm going to be reviewing these movies. The way I look at it is look, I'm going to go see the movie. I might as well review it. But I think the thing that sets the podcast hopefully apart from other ones isn't the reviews. You can get that 1,000 other places. It's going to be how is this guy going to pull this off? What obstacles is he going to face on his way? Kirk brought up a thing today about talking to other movie theater workers, and I'm already talking with someone who's works at a cinema about kind of lining something like that up. So kind of just behind the scenes, but from a casual point of view of, I don't work in the movie business. So like, what is that like? Hopefully asking kind of those questions that any movie fan or someone that enjoys the movie going process would enjoy and have questions about.
So someone like you, so someone in their mid-40s who doesn't work, who is semi-retired, loads the dishwasher.
No.
I
would think if you ask me a demo, so males probably, 30.
Are they movie? Okay, are they movie
30
fans?
to 50. Yes,
Are they
that would be the key. Movie fans. Yes,
movie fans. Okay,
yes.
And that's it.
I don't know if that's it. I don't know what like.
I'm just trying to like. So you're saying you're doing a podcast now where it's not really going to be about reviewing movies, but it's for movie fans.
I think so. I think it's about movie fans that enjoy the process. Yes.
So look, I'm not sold on the fact that the idea is going to do well, but I hope it does. I hope it does.
Good.
From my point of view, if I'm a movie fan, then I really want to listen to proper reviews of movies. So then, why would I listen to some guy who's just seeing a movie every day and then he's going to chat about it for a few minutes? So if I'm a movie fan, I'm thinking I'll go and find a podcast that reviews movies properly.
Right. I mean,
and then the other side is if I'm a comedy fan.
People hear me review movies every week, so I mean properly. I think I do a
so
pretty decent job with it.
So your audience is just the Quantum Week people. You're hoping they'll come across.
Hopefully it's more than that. Hopefully it starts with them, but hopefully it can build with some other people too.
Yeah.
I mean, Quantum Week keeps growing. We tripled our audience in this past year.
I'm thrilled. I love to see friends succeed.
You hope to see it, but we're not where we need to be yet either. You hope to see it grow, but so I think there is some growth there. And I mean, obviously the opportunity to go on Kirk's show whenever I get to go on is like you see an instant bump. Like it is dramatic and real. So, I mean, the idea of that I'm lucky enough to have an opportunity obviously is a bit of a game changer for me too. But like we talked about earlier, that could end at any time. And I couldn't be remotely upset if it does. So,
I'm just not sure you've really thought about who's going to listen to this show, really. So that's that one thing. That's one thing.
I think things out. Like I mean, you could levy a lot of criticisms about me, but I usually think things out.
Okay. We're just talking. Yeah, I mean, as I said, I'm just saying you've just said your thought was, okay, my listener is going to be someone just like me. That was your thought, and you think that's thinking something through.
I said roughly like me. I said I think a movie fan, and I think it's also a different kind of show. I don't know too many shows like that. And in this, in the podcast world, like we talked about, there's so many podcasts out there.
I like the concept. It's a concept.
You can have something you hated the concept. If you have something that's a little bit unique, then I think that can hopefully stand a little. So it makes the elevator pitch a little easier.
Okay, so and it's for movie fans, but you're not really going to review movies, so it makes total sense.
Yes, I'm glad you're on board.
I want to circle back to this, but last thing, you just mentioned Kirk and getting a bump. Do you think sometimes Kirk takes his God complex a bit far? I mean, I've said it a few times on this show. Sometimes I think Kirk has that sort of thing where he thinks everything revolves around him, which I think, obviously there's elements, but I kind of think that's life. Like, life's that way. Like people just mesh and meld. And, I don't think Kirk's done anything in particular. Like, as I said, I think, Jerry Callahan could say if his parents hadn't had sex, then Kirk wouldn't be on the radio. Like, I think Kirk sometimes takes it way too far.
Well, Kirk made that exact Jerry point with me in studio once. We talked about it.
But you heard me say it. You heard me say it. Yeah.
And what's the name of this show again, Manners?
Minifandom.
Okay. So, I think it's fine. I think it's a good name. But at some point, it's like...
It's a show about him. I also host like 4 other podcasts.
But I'm saying, there are shows about him. There's enough shows about him and the only reason he's right, absolutely right about that, is the only reason more than 1,000 people, I did New Hampshire Cast for how many years? We got 1,000 people. It was a pretty good show, I thought, but like there's a ceiling. But when he brings someone like me on that's a nobody, and you do see that bump, it's like, oh wow, this guy definitely has a lot of influence, and he's amazingly talented, the smartest guy I've ever met. So it's like, all right, well, let him. I have no problem with him. We did Quantum Week before Matt went on. We were in the low hundreds. Like per episode, like we'd done a couple episodes, they barely, notched above 100. And then next thing we're charting. And it's like, all right, well, how does that happen? You know, so Kirk definitely.
It didn't work out the same for my cafe, I got to say.
With like reviews and stuff.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I'm sure I'll be hammering. We're talking about this right now, like at a theater, like, you know, I'm sure I'll be, you know, knocked down a peg, and you just got to kind of shrug your shoulders and kind of deal with it, I guess. But I don't agree with what happened at your cafe. I think it's really shitty. I mean, I don't know why people do that. Like, why people are. I think 99.9% of Minifans are great, just like human beings, but you always have that percentage that kind of tears shit down. I think what happened to the cafe, like I 1,000% don't agree with that. I think that's really shitty. If I ever went to Australia Manners, I would go to your cafe and I would give you a very high review.
Thank you. I didn't know actually you could get Apple reviews removed, so I might go and do that. There's a few on the American Apple store about my cricket podcasts that are KMS related. 1 star.
I mean, if you can tie it, I guess you can tie it to like something that's not relevant to the show, then they'll do it. I wasn't going to do it until the sex offender one. I was like, I'm not, but I guess now I'm probably going to have 1,000 sex offender ones on there, but for sure tomorrow. Yeah. So at some point you just got to kind of, that's the thing is you go on the show, you got to, you know, you do the best you can. And at some point you kind of shrug your shoulders, throw your hands in there and be like, well, it is what it is. I mean, you know.
I mean, that's a great attitude. I mean, I have to say, you know, the KMS breaks a lot of people. And I know Justin got in your head last week, but so far, so good with you, Chris. You've maintained a pretty steady course since being on the show. So, yeah, kudos to your mental stability. I'm sure Laura has a lot to do with that.
A lot to do with it, yes.
Fantastic. I love Laura. She was so good on NH Cast, like funny, witty, gave it back to you too.
Oh, she's the best. And she wants to go out to dinner with us too. So she's excited to meet you. She watched Matters live with, like, when I would watch it, she would be on the couch watching right there with me. So
great fan. And I actually noticed, you know, an NH Cast that sort of, I could tell there was a little bit of bitterness, you know, you've broken up with, you know, divorced or whatever, and, you know, finding your feet in a new world again. I mean, I found it a really interesting sort of journey through you because, you know, listening to it all at once, you notice that stuff more than you would if they're coming out, you know, listening to it as it comes out. You know, you seem a lot, you know, obviously Laura's turned your life around.
Oh yeah. I mean, the first
pays for everything.
That's right. I got very lucky. The first few episodes in Hampshire Cast, I wasn't even technically divorced. I was just separated. I was like, I wouldn't even say I was bitter, honestly, I was really sad. Like those first few episodes of New Hampshire Cast, I was really doing it more just so I could like hang out with my friends so I wouldn't be alone and sad. It was more just like a coping mechanism than anything else. I, you know, honestly, there were 2 things that got me kind of through besides my family and friends. It was, you know, New Hampshire Cast and listening to Kirk. You know, I'd be home with my dog Wayfield and just be hanging out and be like, I'm bored, I'm alone, this sucks. I listened to enough about me. So that was those are 2 things that kind of got me through for sure. But no, I'm a much happier and I think hopefully better person than I was a few years ago. And yeah, at some point with the Kirk stuff, I mean, at the end of the day, none of this matters. Like, you know, 10 years from now, I don't know if any of this will matter. I know one thing, 100 years from now, none of this shit's going to matter. It's all irrelevant. Like, it's not worth being upset about. I try not to, but then again, I got upset last week. So you just do the best you can. I don't know.
I agree. Justin's triggering. Can I now give you some advice on how to theater near me? All right.
Well, Manners love this. This is the Manners mentorship we always hear about.
Exactly. So I think what I would do is you need to buy yourself, to add to your equipment, a little portable recorder, because I think what you should do is you should have the ability to record reactions as they happen on set in theaters. And remember, you don't have to use it. Like, you can just use what's good. But I know it's really evocative when you listen to podcasts that have ambient noise. And I think, you know, if you've got the hush of a theater, or if a couple starts having sex, you know, 2 rows in front of you, or
what happens in Australia, very different.
But you know, like, so, you know, like you say you drive 6 hours and you get to a theater and it's closed and it was advertised being open, you know, you have your recorder there.
All right. So let's say, I don't disagree, but I have a question for you. You're a technical guy. So what if I use my phone for that? What if I record like, motherfucker, this theater's closed, and then I integrated that into the show? Like, is that
absolutely?
Kind of yeah, all right.
Absolutely. So let me answer the question. So voice memo works really well. I would just test your phone to get the optimal distance, because like when you're too close, it gets a bit distortion. So just test your phone where your optimal distance is, and then you just do voice memo and you email it to yourself. and then it's an audio file that you can use and sync into the shows. But I would recommend you can get like little recorders that journalists use that not expensive at all. And you plug into a computer. You can get a Zoom. They're a bit more expensive, but I would have that ability. What if you're in a theater and it catches on fire? Let's just say it catches on fire.
Okay. Right.
And you're on the spot and you can get live reaction.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that could really add to the story you want to tell. If it's not just movie reviews, just having that ability. And then I think you can take people on the journey with you. I've walked out of the thing, my card's been stolen. Like I'm standing here on the street. Like I'd love to hear you in the midst of them, because you'll get a different feeling to when you're now back in your studio recording and you've had time for stuff to digest. So that's my advice. I think
those are good ideas. So one idea I had was, yes, the podcast is going to come out every other day, but I was going to do TikToks every day. And I don't mean TikToks like I'm dancing, because I don't really understand any of that stuff, but just kind of so people can kind of like see me on the journey every day. But I think that's a great idea. Like if something big happens, do it either on my phone or like one of the mics you're mentioning, and integrate that into the show. I would have no problem with that. I don't think it's a bad idea at all.
Yeah, and with your TikTok idea, so you could record like minute videos on your phone.
Okay.
And say, oh, hey, I'm going to go and see, I'm traveling to wherever today to see whatever. The challenge is I've got, an hour and a half to get there, and the movie starts in an hour, whatever.
Right.
Got to go. You could put that video on Twitter, it's like a good tease for the episodes. Like everyone would be like, okay, let's hear, does Chris get there? Right.
I agree. That's why I was going to do it. Yeah. I think that's a way to kind of integrate, but I agree. Like the thing that separates this show from other shows isn't the reviews. I said you can get that at a lot of places. I think my reviews are good, but that's not what's going to separate. It's going to be the journey. So I don't mind integrating other ways to do that. I'm more on the same page of you and I think Kirk than, I don't know, maybe I'm not explaining myself very well either. So I completely.
And then I would think about writing a book. So I'd write a journal every day.
Yeah, that's happening.
Okay, good, great. Great minds think alike. And I don't think many people will listen to the show, but I think it could be a stepping stone into greater things, because I think showing people that you have the temerity and the stamina and the fortitude to stick it out for the year and do it, I think will be great for your brand. And I think the Klemmer fans have a lot to look forward to.
I hope so. It'd be fun. I want to integrate like fans too with this. Like Quantum Week is definitely, it's me and Matt. We kind of do that, and it's a fun show, but I feel it is a bit removed, and it's nothing against Matt at all, but it's just the nature of our show. But I think with this show, I'd like it to be more engagement with, like, hopefully people can come to movies with me. Like I'm going to post my schedule of what movies I'm going to see. If people want to come see movies with me, let's go. Like that. I think that sounds like a great time.
I've started reviewing movies on this podcast recently.
There you go.
We did No Time to Die. We did Spider-Man No Way Home.
I've skipped both of them because I haven't seen those yet. So I'm skipping all spoilers. But when I do watch,
good, don't, because
I know you and Red are both Bond fans, so
laden with spoilers. Actually would love to get your reaction to No Time to Die when you see it. Are you okay? We speculated that you were too snobby for Bond. Are you?
Bond's okay. I don't mind Bond. I haven't seen a ton of the Daniel Craig Bonds, which I hear are by far the best.
No, you have to watch them all before you go. It won't make sense.
All right, that's fair. I could do a marathon.
What do you mean that's fair? It's just true. Like
no. I'm not disagreeing with you. I have some time between now and then. I was gonna kind of do a little mini marathon, and that was high on my list because Sam Mendes is a fantastic director. Daniel Craig is a great actor. And I've only heard good things about. There's 3 movies beforehand, right? This is the 4th.
Casino Royale, Quantum of This is the 5th.
Oh, it's the 5th.
Casino.
I gotta go.
Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, Skyfall, and Spectre. So you got 4, and Apple have a thing going where you can buy all 4 for something like online. You buy all 4 and you can watch them on Apple.
All right, so, I gotta get in the ball then. All right, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right,
and then we'll talk about it. I'll get you back on, or I'll come on in the theater in May.
What a thrill!
All righty, well, thank you so much for coming down to my level and joining me on Minifandom.
The best I can.
It's a pleasure to have someone from the main show.
Are you gonna have Justin on soon?
No.
No.
First, I mean, you've got to say I campaigned pretty hard for you to get on the main show. Like it was like a year-long campaign.
You've always been my corner. I've always been a manners guy.
I know, no, but I'm just so glad that it's paid off. And like Justin, I'm not like I wouldn't have him on. He blocked me. He's annoying. Like I'm a Klemmer head or a Klemmering or a whatever we're coming to with your nickname. Klemmer fans.
Sure.
But yeah, look, have a great Christmas. What does Chris do on Christmas Day?
We're going to go to Massachusetts to see Laura's family. I have some family in Massachusetts as well. And then we'll see more of my immediate family, which is in New Hampshire, and have a pretty quiet week. And I'll talk to Ethan probably every day like I usually do via text. And I'll tell
Say hi from me.
I'll tell Ethan Manor said hi, and he'll be very excited to hear that. He'll listen to this episode as well.
Excellent. I always find it strange for Americans because you have a massive Thanksgiving holiday, like just before Christmas. So obviously we don't have Thanksgiving here. So, there's a big build up to Christmas because it's like the end of the year. It's everyone shuts down for 2 weeks. And it's the first holiday in a while. Whereas in America, I don't know if it's the same. Like Christmas is huge here.
Yeah. So I have a theory on that. So I work for an Australian company when I was in New York. And
what was it called?
3P Learning. They do mathletics. The software.
Oh yeah, I almost had the owner of that on my podcast recently.
Oh really? So yeah.
Small world.
Yeah. So we were on the American side. It didn't quite take off as well in America as it did in Australia. So I think my theory on that is that Americans get so. I saw what Australians get for vacation time, and I see what Americans.
We get 4 weeks a year. 4 weeks a year.
Yeah.
Mandatory.
And you guys get so we don't get that. So for us, we work all year, and summers are kind of not as maybe as serious as the fall or the spring are, but like for us, this is the rare time where like everyone's off. So like from between Thanksgiving and New Year's rather, it is a time when people do kind of take off, where it's pretty rare for Americans to take that much time off. So it is kind of all bunched together, but it's like our only time we have off. It's a different experience. I think the Australian way, well, obviously you can see my lifestyle. I think the Australian way is better. I think people work too hard. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, 4 weeks of holiday, and we have about another 10 public holidays.
Yeah, like
just
on.
Mondays off and stuff. It's perfect.
It's a much better, much healthier, much better way to live.
Yeah, I've got a big Christmas Eve with one side of the family, and then a big Christmas Day. But it's bachelor manners. My wife and kids are in London for the next 3 weeks, so I'm on my own.
You don't have your kids for Christmas? Why don't you go to London?
Nope. No, we're not into Christmas. My father-in-law died on Christmas Day. We don't really celebrate it. So
why not go with your family? See, that's
because it's London. It's like boring. They just hang out with family. So I'm here living the bachelor lifestyle. Yeah, watching cricket, recording podcasts.
Seems sad, Manners. I don't know if I agree.
No, it's amazing. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
When
are they back?
A number of media engagements booked for the next week. I'm free to do whatever.
When is the Manners Suicide Watch end? When are they back? Mid-January at least?
Yeah, mid-January. It'll be about 3 days before they come back. I crash. That'll be when.
I'm going to worry about you until like mid-January now.
Yeah. Don't worry. You'll see me. I'm recording a couple of specials next week of Minifandom. Red and I are going to reflect on the year that has been in the KMS world.
I'm enjoying the show, by the way, with you and Red.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. I always listen. I genuinely enjoy it. Genuinely.
Thank you.
I do enjoy it though.
Good. I'm going to do the odd solo one, and I'll do weekly with Red, and that's a good formula. Kirk really likes Red, and in the end, I'm here to serve Kirk. So if Kirk likes Red, I'll have him on the show.
I think Red's good. Red's great in the show. I enjoy it. I think you guys have a good dynamic. I think the John episode was a little weird. I don't know. That felt staged to me. You always say everything I do is staged. That felt just weird.
It wasn't staged at all.
I'm sure maybe it was. It just felt weird.
What weird about it? I had to fire him as my producer.
It's weird. I don't know. It felt strange. I mean, I listened. It was interesting. I definitely listened. I was engaged. I'm like, this is it. Maybe because it was just so against the norm of what the show typically is. Because the show kind of is when it's you and Red or just you. You're right. It is kind of a relaxing tone to it. Like I usually listen to late at night because it's usually when you drop it. So to have it be that kind of this like confrontational kind of thing, I'm not saying it was bad. It was kind of, it just felt odd.
Yeah, look, I didn't expect John to take it so badly. Honestly, I thought he'd just go, okay.
Well, you fired the guy. What do you think he's going to do? Be happy about it?
Well, he deserved it.
Anyway.
But,
all right.
All right, well, look, we're hitting the end of our counter. It's almost an hour. Thanks everybody that have joined me thanks everybody that have joined me this week. I'm in a fandom AA.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, go on.
So,
many as you want. I'm sorry, I should have let you. And ask me anything you want.
Yeah, just one last question. So, like, let's say you can't. It ends up so like, hey, the Kirk Minihan network on YouTube doesn't exist, or whatever. It's not open to you anymore. Would you still keep doing this show? I would hope so.
If the Kirk Minihan show doesn't exist, I'm not sure how.
No, the Kirk Minihan network. I'm sorry, the YouTube element. Like, you know how like, hey, you're trying to position to Cullen in. I want to do more stuff on the YouTube. So let's say YouTube ceases to exist.
Yeah, I've given that up. Yeah, absolutely. I've given up trying to be on the network.
Okay.
This is much better. I like the fact that it's audio only. I like the fact that I can do it whenever I want. Until I'm given direct access to the network, I'm not going to do it on the network. I want to be trusted. Sure. So, yeah, I think while the KMS is going, this is great. I like doing a podcast. I tried to play ball. I tried to get it on the network for months and months and months. I want to be a team player, but Cullinane's not a team player. So, what can you do? I mean, you've got Kirk, who's sort of, just trying to stay alive. You've got Cullinane, who bumbles from, disaster to disaster. I just got to do what I can do, which is do a reaction podcast. Love to do something on the network if I'm invited and given access. But until then, I'll just bide my time.
Well, I'll say this before we go. Is one thing I think of when I think of Manners, and it's team player for sure. It's definitely the first thing I would think of when I think of you.
Exactly. A lot of people say that.
Yeah, tons. That's all I hear.
Alrighty, so listeners, thanks everybody that have listened to this episode. Chris, thanks so much for joining me today. Love talking to you. Say hi to Ethan. Everyone out there, subscribe to Add a Theatre Near Me if you already haven't, because look, it's going to be interesting. I predicted March, but I'm actually thinking now you might stick it out all the way just due to stubbornness.
Yes, well, that has gotten me by in life, I guess, or not has not got me by. But yes, I would. I plan on doing it. I have a whole whole spreadsheet. I'm taking it as seriously as I can.
Good. All righty, listeners. Bye bye. We'll be back soon.